Meanwhile, high-profile cases started appearing. At least 23 lawmakers now have the virus.
جای نگرانی نیست. در قرنطینه انشالله ملت ما بر کرونا غلبه خواهند کرد.
A vice president announces that she too has the coronavirus. Just days prior, here she is sitting near President Rouhani. Then, on March 1st, a close aide of the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei dies of coronavirus. Shortly after, the government ordered all schools and universities to shut down, and Khamenei tries to rewrite history. Iran is finally putting tougher measures in place. But by letting the virus get out of hand, officials turn their country into an epicenter.
They would like to have the people come off. I'd rather have the people stay, but I'd go with them. I told them to make the final decision. I would rather, because I like the numbers being where they are. I don't need to have the numbers double because of one ship. That wasn't our fault.
The South Korean government's technologically advanced, transparent, and well-funded plans to combat the COVID-19 outbreak have grabbed the attention of the world's media. Many international outlets say Seoul's efforts are miles ahead of the measures put forth by China and Japan, where the entire city of Wuhan was put on lockdown and an entire cruise ship was completely isolated for quarantine, respectively. In an article this week, AFP praised South Korea's advanced health system and free media, describing them as factors that improve the reliability of the statistics provided by the government.
We're getting a little discouraged. Once we get off, which will probably be tomorrow, we still have 14 more days.
All 19 of the infected Grand Princess crew members now back on the ship for isolation. And a rare sight, a yellow flag flying, signifying the ship is under quarantine.
It will go away. Just stay calm.
Today, the president attended a meeting with Republican senators on Capitol Hill to discuss the virus's economic impact, urging calm. He defended the testing process.
The U.S. has done a very good job on testing. We need to test and change things.
Trump saying he has not been tested, despite spending time with...
I'd rather have the people stay, but I'd go with them. People need a test, they can get a test. Because I like the numbers being where they are. I don't need to have the numbers that wasn't our fault because of one ship.
Last night, this fight is in real life and online. I know I'm gonna write it and do it for the last time. What is a friend for? I'm gonna start to even the score because they're not my problems anymore. 9 is a reminder of time. We only have one limited life. What are you gonna put out and put into it? Reverse their tailspin. I'm gonna get a phone, it'll be yellow. I said hell no. Now mellow, my body is not angry, it's chill as fuck.
People are very rare. Fortunately, most people are like that Army private that stopped and ended up all broken up trying to help somebody hurt. That's how most of America is. He's real America that stops and helps. But that's who we deal with. We deal with all sorts of people who don't want to abide by the rules and don't care who they hurt or who they abuse, just as long as they don't get in trouble. Fortunately, we have a great criminal justice system, and we have juries who understand how to hold people accountable when they do wrong. Criminal justice system, and we have juries who understand how to hold people accountable when they do wrong.
The country's drive-through screening facilities that enable safer and faster testing were also reported on by many international media outlets. Quoting experts, CNN reported that such an innovative way of testing limits the exposure of frontline workers, as the tests are done in minutes, while passengers never have to get out of the car. The Wall Street Journal praised how the South Korean government effectively tracks those who have been infected, explaining that the government uses mobile phone data, credit card records, and surveillance camera footage to pin down their movements. It added it's definitely one of the most ambitious tracking systems in Asia.
We're very impressed with all that Korea is doing. And comprehensive measures to test and to take steps to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
South Korea is taking the lead in the global fight against the outbreak.
Transparency.
There's so much information available. It's quite amazing. It's very high tech. It's very transparent. It's almost so transparent, though, that I would say it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it's great to be informed and great to know everything that's happening. On the other hand, you get these alerts constantly saying that this virus is everywhere around you.
Better to know.
Now, global attention has been drawn to the South Korean government's comprehensive countermeasures that were quickly rolled out. Attention has been drawn to the South Korean government's comprehensive countermeasures that were quickly rolled out to contain the coronavirus outbreak once it arrived on these shores.
South Korea, one of the countries hit hardest by the corona. Global media outlets have been closely monitoring the steps Seoul is taking to get a grip on the outbreak as quickly and efficiently as possible. As COVID-19 moves toward possible pandemic status, the foreign media outlets say South Korea has led the global fight against the outbreak. They say the measures it's taken could become a model for others. One factor that came in for particular praise from international reporters at Monday's special press briefing was South Korea's overall transparency in terms of information sharing and its daily updates about the extent of the outbreak.
Transparency, I think, has to give a sense of trust or, credence to the public. Generally speaking, you can't be that much more transparent than Korea has already done. It's a model that other countries could look to emulate in terms of how to address this.
Others were impressed at the South Korean government's method of communicating the message clearly to everyone in society.
Quite interesting, because apparently in Denmark, that's somewhat some of the deaf people are complaining about, that there was no subtitles in information given on TV, and there was no sign language interpretation. So,
outlets in Germany have praised South Korea's transparency in tackling the coronavirus outbreak. Spiegel Online said the South Korean government is not only working to provide great quality medical care, but is also focusing on offering thorough transparency. Compared how South Korea and China have responded to the outbreak, saying the reason for the high number of infections in South Korea is because of the country's excellent diagnostic capabilities, free press and democratic system. A panel during a talk show on Germany's public broadcaster ZDF also said South Korea is coping with the outbreak in a rational manner.
So I dreamt it last night. This fight is in real life and online. I know I'm gonna write it and do it for the last time. What is a friend for? I'm gonna start to even the score because they're not my problems anymore. 9 is a reminder of time. You only have one limited life. What are you gonna put out and put into it? Reverse their tail spins. I'm gonna get a...
I'm baffled by this. I've been talking to my the test until very... I think we have a phenomenal health system, but our government has been an impedance to that, has not been helpful. The FDA has been stopping labs from producing the tests until very, very recently.
Why, doctor? Why is that?
I have to tell you, you're going to have to ask the administration. I am baffled by this. I've been talking to my friends at the CDC, at the FDA. They don't understand the decision-making that's happening at the senior-most levels.
The decision making. Okay, let's go back to that. It's all about marketing, not truth.
It is.
I got a really good school as an example for this. Don't forget, you're going to contain it inside a community with the one special educator who teaches K first, second, third, fourth. I stop at fourth, but fifth grade. Fifth grade was always an interesting thing with me because I'd go and say, hey, how are my students doing? How are our kids? Oh, and they're just fine. They're doing great. Their collaborative teaching methods were so awesome. Well, do the kids read? Do they write? Do they know numbers? Do they know money? Are they going to be independent? Are they going to college? What's going on here?
Really baffling. What void here? 60 countries decided to take it, but it's been one failure after leadership. It's to cut through the red tape. Not 2 months later, but up front. We have the most innovative, most dynamic scientific community in the world. I think we have a phenomenal health.
Where you're seated, it mimics much of the country in terms of medical facilities.
About Mass General, these great academic.
Okay.